Welcome back. We're here with Hannah Salamon-Vegh and Elliot Hughes. And we were previously talking about, Queen Elizabeth II's recent death and what it means for Canada. And while it could make a change, that's yet to be determined. But in the interim, I think we should talk about what's happening right now in Canada. As we know, Pierre Poilievre was chosen as the new leader for the Conservative Party of Canada by a landslide victory within the party. Hannah, what do you think of the win?
Well, it's definitely signaling that I think a lot of Canadians are upset with Justin Trudeau. They're upset with the amount of inflation, broken promises, government spending out of control. They're just basic things that people cannot afford. Many people are living paycheck to paycheck. They cannot afford to feed themselves or their kids. They can't afford a place to rent, let alone buy. These are real world issues that the Trudeau government said that they were going to solve, that they're going to make living more affordable. I mean, if you look on Justin Trudeau's Instagram page, he keeps saying, we're making life more affordable for Canadians. I don't know in what world he's living, especially when he can bill $12,000 extra, for food and things like that for his house to the Canadian taxpayers. And when it comes to Pierre's win, I think it's showing that Canadians are desperate for a change. I would say that at the same time, it's important for us, Conservative Party members, those who are Conservative Party members, and those who are thinking of voting for him in the election, to hold him accountable to everything that he's promised, right? Because there's a lot of people holding high hopes on him. And because he said he's going to overturn, a lot of the damage that Trudeau has done. But Pierre did not speak out against the lockdowns or against the vaccine mandates until it was popular to do so. He did a great job as a shadow finance minister to hold the government financially accountable as much as he could. But when it comes to, vaccine issues and lockdown issues, he did not speak out until they're popular. So that's some people are raising comments of is he just holding this tide and just doing what's popular? And will he follow through with his promises if he gets elected? That is what I'm looking to see.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting take because, when Trudeau was running to become leader, everybody looked at him as the new hope. And he had the name because, at the end of the day, who would ever want a drama teacher to be head of a political party, nonetheless a Prime Minister of Canada? But he had hope, given his name. And at the end of the day, I think people have seen where their hope is gone. And like you said, people are struggling, and clearly his family and him are not struggling. So it begs to differ, whereas Mr. Poilievre comes from a different background. He comes from the everyday person who's definitely had some issues within himself growing up. And here he is now leading the largest party in the entire history of Canada. So, Elliot, what are your thoughts on Pierre's victory?
Well, I think Pierre's victory is a signal that the Conservative Party of Canada is very much behind Pierre Poilievre. This is Pierre Poilievre's party now. He won an overwhelming majority of the vote. It wasn't really a leadership race. It was a coronation. Speaking of the royal family stuff, this was a coronation, and so the party that is going to go to Canadians, so Pierre is going to go in front of Canadians and sort of, make his play. This is going to be very purely about sort of like what the Conservatives believe in the Pierre Poilievre mold versus what the Trudeau Liberals sort of believe and taking it to Canadians. It'll be interesting to see. I think some polling today from Abacus Data has Pierre Poilievre up 5% on the Liberals. I think this is the honeymoon phase. This is the sort of the easy part for Pierre Poilievre. But look, it's going to get harder for him. He's going to have to start deciding if he wants to cut the deficit and sort of reduce spending. You've got to explain to Canadians where that's going to come from. Is it going to come from healthcare? Is it going to come from sort of taking it away from the middle class, the Canada Child Benefit? What are you going to do? Take away from national defense? How are you going to trim the deficit? So things like this are going to be questions that are going to be posed to Pierre Poilievre at some point. He's going to have to answer them. He's going to have to be straight with Canadians. That's when things are going to get interesting. That's when things are going to get sort of the lines will start to be drawn. What kind of government does Pierre Poilievre want? Does he want a government for the middle class, or does he just want to cut the public sector, and he wants to cut supports for Canadians? If he does, and that's what Canadians want, then they'll vote for him. But I think there's going to be a big question as to whether or not that's in fact what Canadians want when it comes to election time.
Because within the last election, I think that it was hard to discern the difference. And what you believe now is that a line will be drawn and there could be a distinction.
Yeah, just quickly, just on that, I'm sure Hannah wants to jump in on that. But this is going to be a very clear-cut election. It's going to be
Okay.
you're going to vote for someone who's progressive and support sort of like middle-class families by providing them supports, or you're going to support someone who's going to want to cut government, who's going to want to cut programs, he's going to want to sort of get to a bottom line, reduce the deficit, reduce the debt, so on. Which candidate do you want? That's going to be the choice of the next election.